For decades, a direct U.S. military strike on Venezuela was completely off the table. It was, for all intents and purposes, unthinkable. Then, in the span of just a few hours, the unthinkable happened. We're going to pull back the curtain on the real story here, a story of oil, currency, and a global power struggle that just hit its boiling point. So picture this. It's the dead of night, January 3rd. U.S. Special Forces pull off a lightning-fast raid right into the heart of Caracas. Their target? President Nicolas Maduro himself. And they get him. Now, this wasn't just some warning shot. This was a stunning, decisive move that completely shattered decades of American foreign policy. And that, of course, leads to the billion-dollar question. Why now? I mean, after all these years of sanctions, of diplomatic pressure, what was the final trigger? The answer isn't what you might think. It's not just about politics. It's really about the US dollar, it's about oil, and a global power shift that finally forced America's hand. To really understand why this raid happened, we have to rewind a little bit. It all starts with a US policy that was supposed to cripple Venezuela, but instead, it backfired, creating a brand new problem that Washington just couldn't ignore anymore. Okay, at the center of this whole thing is something called the petrodollar system. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. For decades, there's been one golden rule in the global economy. If you want to buy or sell oil, you have to do it in US dollars. This isn't just some friendly agreement, it's the very foundation of America's economic power. It forces every country to need and hold dollars, basically making the US the gatekeeper of the world's energy supply. So, knowing this, the US launched what it called a maximum pressure campaign. They hit Venezuela with sanctions designed to cut the Maduro regime off from the dollar. The goal was simple: starve them of cash, force the government to collapse. But here's where things got interesting. It had a massive unintended consequence. Instead of folding, Venezuela figured out a way to survive completely outside the American financial system. Cut off from the West. Where do you think Venezuela turned? They turned east. And that is where China saw a huge opportunity, stepping in with an economic lifeline that was about to change the entire game. And we are not talking about small numbers here. We're talking about a staggering $62 billion in Chinese loans pouring into Venezuela. This wasn't just a friendly loan. Beijing basically became Caracas's #1 financial backer. Think about that. More than half of all Chinese lending in all of Latin America went to this one country. So what did that $62 billion buy China? Well, it bought them oil. A lot of oil. With Western markets totally closed off, China became the default customer, buying up a massive 80% of all Venezuelan oil exports. Venezuela's most precious resource was now flowing directly to Beijing, and the whole